Shalom. Welcome to the episode of the Cold Spirit channel. I'm Priest Brother Tawar Rakah. And basically, this video topic will be a topic concerning the breakdown of Revelation, the 9th chapter of the New Testament in the Holy Bible. Okay, this is a request from a fellow Israelite brother I know personally. Okay, a couple of them actually, because one requested me to do this video a few years ago, and I just forgot or never got to it because I was doing other things or other videos or things was going on. But I still got the notes, and I meant to put this video out several years ago concerning the breakdown of Revelation, the 9th chapter, as requested by a couple of brothers I know. I actually just got finished doing this video, but Satan just hindered me because I didn't know that you had to verify your YouTube account in order to make a video longer than 15 minutes. I haven't been on YouTube in a while doing a video. I think the last video I did was almost 2 years ago, about a year and a half probably. And, you know, I did the whole hour video just to find out that it wouldn't save. So it was in vain. So I might do this again. I'm just going to get this out the way because I don't know when I will have time to do another part. Basically, I'm going to break down verse 1 or possibly 2. And I'm make this about 45 minutes to an hour video. Okay, so I'm going to get to it. And before I do, basically I just want to let you guys know that Revelation 9th chapter, okay, is basically a reiteration of Joel, the first 2 chapters. Okay, just to break it down to. But it's just that John received a little bit more intricate details concerning what will go down in the last days of Revelation 9 from what Joel was revealed in Joel in his chapter 1 verse 2 of his book from the Old Testament. So it shows you that the Old and New Testament correlate with each other. Because you got certain people that don't deal with the Old Testament, they just want to deal with the New. And you got certain people that don't want to deal with the New Testament, they just want to deal with the Old. But that's why they don't get the full understanding, because the Bible and the full understanding is precept upon precept, line upon line. It's a puzzle. You got to fit the pieces together. The only thing that separates the Old and New Testament is time. The New Testament is the records of the Israelites during the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire did exist as a civilization on this earth in ancient history. You understand? So you can't deny that. You had Jews and Israelites that were part of the Roman captivity, or basically they were part of the Roman Empire history. Alright, so that's where the New Testament comes in. Then it goes into Christ and the men of the Lord about that time. And Joel was basically during the Babylonian Empire, if I'm not mistaken, or the Assyrians, either or. But basically the understanding is that what the Most High showed him in part, he finished it with John thousands of years later. Okay, that's how the Bible is. You understand? So without further ado, let's read Revelation chapter 9. I hope it records this time and lets me save it. That's pure Satan right there. Okay, I had to do a situation where they had to, I was trying to figure out, finish the video. Where's the video at? I don't know how to stop it. See, it says stop recording here. I should have known something was wrong. Then it kept cutting me off. I guess every 15 minutes it will black out. Then I had to restart it. But now I see stop recording. So maybe when I click that button and I press continue, it'll save it. Last time I didn't see an option for it. And the video, I thought I saved it and never saved. So I just did a whole hour in vain. Unbelievable. Well, hopefully I should have enough hours because I really got something to take care of within the hour. So hopefully I can squeeze this in. So let me read Revelation chapter 9. I'm probably just going to break down verse 1. This will be a mega part series. Revelation chapter 9 verse 1. And the 5th angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and to him was given the key of the bottomless pit. So let's get the understanding. When it says star falling from heaven unto the earth, it's not talking about a literal star. Okay, a star, as you know from science class, is a hot-shaped glowing ball of gas. If that star was to ever actually fall onto the earth literally, it'll become catastrophic events. So it's not literally talking about an actual star. Revelation, for the most part, is written in dark sentences or parables. It's definitely precept upon precept. If you don't understand that, then you're going to get lost in the book of Revelation. Okay, because for the most part, it's precept upon precept. You got to go to the Old Testament to understand Revelation at least have to, and you got to know some history too. If you don't know that, know a little bit of Greek, because it was written in Greek, then you're going to get lost, right? It's not saying what it's saying half the time, okay? It's not talking about a literal star falling from the heaven onto the earth. That would be catastrophic events. The star represents an actual agent, okay, or celestial body that the Most High has under his regime. They're actually one level below the angels, okay? The angels tell these stars what to do. They're like agents working with the angels, sort of like corporals and soldiers that basically go down onto the earth and they do the bidding of the Most High and Christ through that commanding angel. See, the Most High deals an order, okay? And this agent goes down there and fulfills the Most High's word through his commander on a certain particular event. And I'm going to further prove that that star is referring to an agent that's underneath the angel, and it's actually referring to a celestial body, you understand, like an angel to us, but I don't want to just per se call it just an angel, because the Bible specifies between star and angel sometimes in the same verses or two. But it's like something underneath the level of an angel, but yet, you know, basically it's still a celestial body as far as that realm, coming from that realm of the fourth dimension where the Most High and Christ are at. So let's go to Revelation chapter 20 verse 1. Show that that star is referring to a celestial agent. It's not talking about an actual star. Okay, Revelation chapter 20 verse 1. And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having a key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. Okay, so as you see with this angel, it just specifies the word angel. Has a key in his hand with a chain, which represents statute of limitation. Like when you chain a dog out, when you chain a dog up, the dog is allowed to go wherever he goes to, up to the limitation of that chain around his neck or collar, right? So this is what is going down in Revelation 20, which is a different breakdown, but that's how it's opening up, similar to how Revelation 9 opened up. But this time it says angel. In Revelation 9 it says it's an agent, okay? And it had a key and a chain. Now, when we go to Revelation 9, it just says here, when I'm going to read it again, and the fifth angel sounded, so the angel already gave the order, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and to him, so I'm going to show you the star as a him, was given the key of the bottomless pit. Alright, so that star was given the key, okay, of the bottomless pit, to basically work out the will of that fifth angel unto the earth, that was given an order to do what it does. Now, Revelation 20, it speaks of a chain, okay, and a key with the same bottomless pit in Revelation 20. So just to get the understanding, bottom line is not talking about a hot, glowing ball of gas coming out on the earth. This is dealing with celestial bodies, dealing with issues on the earth, for the earth, happening amongst us on this earth. You understand? It's not catastrophic, all right? Well, the breakdown is to a certain degree, but that particular verse ain't talking about what it's talking about, saying what it's saying. So now, we go to Matthew 24, verse 29, because I've heard certain men break this down and say that's talking about Satan and his angels. The bottomless pit is referring to the realm where the angels are at. Okay? Yeah, that's a pit too. That's bottomless in the sense that it's the abyss. Yeah. But that's not what Revelation chapter 9, verse 1 or Revelation 20 is talking about. But in the Revelation 9 breakdown, which I'm dealing with particularly now, that's not what it's talking about. But just to go to what you're saying to give that understanding, to cut that, let's read Matthew chapter 24, and let's start at verse 29. Okay, and it says right here, immediately after the tribulation of those days, referring to the last days, shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light. So something similar to what was read and spoken about in Joel chapter 1 and verse 2. And the stars shall fall from heaven. Okay, that's what it says. And the power of the heavens shall be shaken. So, stars, S meaning plural, falling from heaven. And this particular verse right here, the star is not referring to an actual star, but rather the Gentiles coming down from the rulership, which is their heaven. That's why it says stars. Like I've said before, literal stars stay in it, like the Bible tells you stars stay in their ordinance, right? Now, when you get to understanding, if these stars was to fall down from heaven, it would be catastrophic events, like I said earlier. So now, the stars is referring to Lucifer and his agents in this particular verse. Because you have to understand, like we read Isaiah 14 and certain verses where Christ speaks about how I beheld Satan and fallen like lightning from the sky, or fallen from his heaven. And there's another verse in Isaiah 14 when it speaks about Lucifer falling from the heavens, or Lucifer. So now, Lucifer means light bearer. You understand? So this is referring to luministic families and the hierarchy coming down from their state of rulership. They're falling from heaven in the days that the sun and the moon is darkened. Okay? So that's the understanding of Revelation 9 in the get-go, is referring to the destruction of this hierarchy as you know it as today. Now I'm going to go into the specific hierarchy, because it's not just referring to all hierarchies, but a particular group of people which are in the highest of all hierarchies. Okay, if that makes any sense. The highest of all hierarchies. Okay, now let's go to actually I'm going to continue reading. Verse 30. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn. And they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect, which are Israelites. We read Isaiah 45 and 4. From the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. So wherever the Israelites are scattered, they're going to be delivered in that day if they are the elect. So now, in the midst of all that, stars are going to be falling from the heaven. So we read Revelation 9, it's talking about the last days. Okay, pretty much referring to the star. This one star coming down from the heaven, which is an agent, celestial body. The stars in Matthew 24 is referring to groups of individuals of the hierarchy, like it corresponds with Lucifer in Isaiah 14, and what Christ says, Satan falling down from heaven. His idea and his rulership and his agents under him, which are luministic families and the Gentiles and rulership under them, they're going to be coming down in power, like it tells you that in Daniel's, the book of Daniel, the 7th chapter, when Christ makes the second coming, he's going to take down all these kingdoms out of their heavens, or out of their rulership or their foundation. In the midst of that, Israelites will be delivered from the four corners of the earth. Alright? So Revelation 9 is speaking of an agent. But my point to all this is, I say that to say this. The star is not talking about a glowing ball of gas. Let's get that out your mind. It's talking about individuals. Okay? And in Revelation 9, it's speaking of a celestial agent underneath Christ and the angels that's going to do a bidding or a command, which I'm going to show you on with later breakdowns and verses of this 9th chapter. Okay? So let's go back to Revelation chapter 9. Okay? So it's not talking about a glowing ball of hot gas. Revelation chapter 9. And the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and to him was given a key of the bottomless pit. So now, like when men were saying that, this is referring to Christ, not Christ, but the demons and the angels, or that's underneath of them, wicked angels, as they would say, that are basically being cast out of their rulership or cast out into the abyss, which is that bottomless pit. Now, let's go get Revelation 8 and 10, because once again, I have to inform you that the star is an actual agent working for the Most High that's coming down from the heaven, okay, and to do the bidding of the Most High's work on the earth. It is not a glowing ball of gas. I have to repeat, because you actual Gentiles don't have the understanding breaking it down like this. Only the men of the Lord, the Israelites, can provide you with this understanding, because he revealeth the secret unto his servants, the prophets. Now, Revelation and the prophets are the children of Israel, not the other nations. Now, we read Revelation chapter 8, verse 10. It says, And the third angel sounded, and there fell a great star from heaven, burning as it were a lamp. And it fell upon the third part to the rivers and upon the fountains of the waters. So this is not talking about an actual glowing ball of gas coming down, breaking through the ozone layer, falling into the third part of the waters. No. This is an actual agent, celestial body, who the Most High is going to utilize to fulfill prophecy of these things occurring. And what is the occurrence of what's going to be unfolded on this earth? It says right here, the third part of the rivers and upon the fountains of waters, actually potable water, when men drink out of or wash or bathe with. Verse 11 tells you the name of the star. So it's not talking about an actual star, because it says it's going to call it a star, it's going to give us purpose. And the name of the star is called wormwood. And the third part of the waters became wormwood, which means bitter. and many men died of the waters because they were made bitter. Okay, so now wormwood is like another way of saying bitterness or poisonous. So this angel that's going to be sent down onto this earth, okay, or this agent rather, celestial body that the Lord is going to send down on this earth, his job is to do what? He's going to make the drinkable and potable waters unfit and unsafe and contaminated. Okay, it's going to be made bitter. Now, what's going to happen? What's the main fulfillment of that? It's going to be after the nuclear fallout. All right, after the nuclear fallout, we're mammals made of 70% of water. The first thing that men are going to need to survive is water. You understand? Now, a lot of water is going to be contaminated, poisonous, radiated, whatever, however you want to say it. You're not going to be able to drink these waters. You're not even going to be able to bathe near these waters. And that itself is going to cause a lot of men to die. Okay, with that nuclear fallout, and also with the poisonous that's going down from this agent onto the earth. It's going to be poison in the waters. Well, a lot of waters, even today, some of that prophecy has been fulfilled. But the ultimate fulfillment of that is representing when the nuclear fallout. Because as you read on down, okay, it talks about the sun and the moon and the stars and the third part of them were darkened. Okay, and it speaks about woe unto the inhabitants of the earth. So that represents destruction that's going to be coming down on this earth. And the main destruction that's going to be coming down on this earth is a nuclear fallout. That's why I keep hearing about nuke talks in these last days, because that's going to be one of the main instruments that the Lord will utilize to cause this to all come to an end. This corrupt system, corrupt government, and corrupt world to come to an end. Okay? So now, the star is symbolic. It's wormwood, bitterness. Alright? So the angel, which controls a lot of things that goes down on this earth, whether it be good or bad, because it's all through the auspices of the Most High, basically it's going to cause this to occur. In this particular verse, waters will be made better by this agent. Now, when you go back to Revelation 9, or you go to the next chapter from what I just read, the fifth angel then sounded, and this represents woe unto the earth. Like we read chapter 8 and the earlier 13th and 12th verses, this refers to destruction on this earth. So as we move on to chapter 9, fifth angel sounded, because there were 7 angels. Fifth sounded, and under his auspices, a star fell from heaven, okay, which is a celestial agent unto the earth. And to him was given the key of the bottomless pit, which is similar to what we read in Revelation 20. But it said a key and a chain. So that represents, like I said earlier, a statute of limitations concerning what the inhabitants of the pit are going to be able to do, or what's going to be able to come out the pit is going to be able to do. And chapter 9 verse 1 is speaking on another level, but concerning the same thing. You understand? Of the key, the bottomless pit, and as far as what? The star being an agent sent down with the key or chain in his hand, just like the angel in Revelation 20. But it's all symbolic. It's not referring to an actual poisonous ball of gas. Or excuse me, not poisonous, but a hot glowing ball of gas rather. Okay, this is an agent that's working on the minds of men to fulfill the unfold or the folding of the prophecies or the will of the Lord of how he wants this place to be destroyed, or how he wants things to go down for these latter days. Now, when it speaks about the key to the bottomless pit, you have to understand something that, okay, some people, I've heard some men say that the bottomless pit is referring to the abyss, like I said earlier, concerning the outer layers where the demons lurk, okay, and the fourth dimension, as we like to say in the nation of Israel, where Christ and the angels dwell at, but it's a spirit world. But although that too, the abyss, which is synonymous with the word deep, although you can refer to that as a bottomless pit, because it really has no limitations either, that's why it's bottomless. But that's not what Revelation 9 is talking about concerning that bottomless pit. Okay, first of all, it says that the angel fell on earth. Okay, and then say they fall out in the outer abyss, from heaven unto the earth. Okay, so now you know that this is something going on right here on the earth where we lay at, where we stand, and where we sleep at, where we walk upon. Now, you have to understand the bottomless pit, although it's spiritual, can also be physical with the subterranean climate, the subterranean regions, okay, or the subterranean territories that this earth has, okay, which is what this is going into, subterranean territories that this earth has. Let's get to the spiritual understanding of it. to show and prove that by bringing out what you're saying, we're going to bring forth the truth to show it gets cut in itself by what Revelation 9 is saying. Let's go to Luke chapter 8, verse 27. Concerning the abyss, which is the same, I believe it's the same Greek word, okay, that's utilized in Revelation 9, abyssios. And the translators didn't say the abyss for that verse, okay, they used the word pit. Now in Luke chapter 8, the Greek, the New Testament, it said the deep. These are all synonymous words, but when you get to understand it, it don't quite really mean the same in the context that is being told. Let's go to Luke chapter 8, verse 27. Luke chapter 8, verse 27, and it says, and when he went forth to land, when he got off the ship, there met him out of the city a certain man which had devils long time. So he was possessed by devils for a very long time, and wore no clothes. Okay, so the demons possessed him to the point where he was walking around butt naked. Neither abode in any house. Who could contain the man? He rather not dwell in his house, because it says right here, but in the tombs. So he wanted to remain in a congregation of the dead, or something like a cemetery. That's where he wanted to be at. So he had some serious demons and issues about him, okay, that Christ encountered when he got off the land. Okay, now, when he saw Christ, he cried out and fell down before him, and with a loud voice said, what have I to do with thee, Jesus, thou Son of God Most High? I beseech thee, torment me not. So, basically, the demons did not want Christ to torment them. Now, how was Christ going to torment them? Easy. By casting them out of these bodies and sending them back into the abyss where they belong. That's torment to them, because, see, they don't want to be in the abyss. These demons would rather possess people and cause them to do wickedness on earth and be unclean. That's what these demons rather do. That's their position. Their position is to take over people and cause them to do things against and contrary to the words of God. Okay, that's why certain men like to say, well, you got demons in you. Well, those demons are from the abyss that get inside you and cause you to do wickedness and evil. So these demons want to stay where they at. They want to possess human bodies. Although it was just a movie and there's no such thing as Frankenstein, they showed you in that movie I, Frankenstein about the demons that were possessing the bodies of people, and that's what they want. They wanted to possess the whole world of carcasses, the dead from the living, it don't matter. That's what they wanted to do. And it's torment if they find a home and Christ kicks them out and sends them back to the abyss, because as commander of the heavens, he has the power to do that. You understand? So all these stories about the devils going against Christ and how they're fighting against Christ and and the Heavenly Father, that's fairy tales. That's like Greek mythology with Hades and Zeus and all that nonsense. No, the demons and the devils do exactly what the Lord tells them to do, because He created them. So they're going to do exactly what the Father tells them to do. So they beg Christ not to be casted out of a vessel that they love, which was possessing this man, or this brother rather, for him to do all this stuff. So in verse 29 he says, okay, parentheses, for he had commanded the unclean spirit to come out of the man. So when he did that, they begged to stay there. Okay, and also they didn't beg to be tormented. For oftentimes it had caught him, and he was kept bound with chains and in feathers, and he brake the bands and was driven out of the devil into the wilderness. So the demon in him, okay, basically caused him to break chains. So he had some form of supernatural strength, okay, which normal man don't have unless they're possessed by some form of a high spiritual power. You understand? Which was in this case a demon, okay, that possessed the man to do certain things. Now in verse 30 it says, and Jesus asked him, saying, what is thy name? And he said, Legion, because many devils were entered into him. Okay, and they besought him that he would not command them to go out into the deep. So that's how they would be tortured if they go out into the deep, which is, in this Greek word, I believe, is abyssos, and in the English that we speak today, we just cut it short term and just say abyss. So they didn't want to go out in the abyss. Okay, they rather wanted to stay and possess this human being and use it as a vessel to do wickedness and evil. You understand? Now, in verse 32, and there was an herd of swine feeding on a mountain, And they besought him that he would suffer them to enter into them, and he suffered them. And then went the devils out of the man and entered into the swine, and he ran, and the herd ran violently down a steep place into the lake and were choked. Alright, see, you understand something. Demons want to possess themselves in unclean things. That goes to show you that swine is unclean, because that's where the demons wanted to lay at. The man had unclean spirits in him, thus made him unclean. So the demons had to come out because Christ already ordered them out. So they said, well, don't send us back to the abyss, send us into the herd of swine. Okay? So they just jumped into the swine, and then they possessed the swine to do something evil and wicked and violent, and the herd ran off the cliff and basically died or they choked. Okay, that's what happened with the wild pigs. But pigs are unclean, you're not supposed to eat them anyways. That's against the Levitical law. So that goes to show you in the New Testament that law was still in place. Eating swine is unclean according to the Bible and is unhealthy. Alright, but the white man being the devil, he says pork the other white meat. Okay, but he's of Satan, so that's why he says these things. Like his forefather, the Greeks, used to torture Israelites who didn't want to eat the swine's flesh, and used to sacrifice swine on altars. Okay, defiling the holy temple. Okay, but that's another subtopic. But that's what the demons do. So the abyssos, which is that Greek word for deep, which is, I believe, the same for bottomless pit. That's referring to where the demons are at, but that's not in particular in the context of what the scriptures are talking about in this verse. Let's go to Revelation chapter 9, verse 1, being that verse that we're speaking of in the topic here. Revelation chapter 9, verse 1. And the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and to him was given a key of the bottomless pit. You understand? So now, when you go into the bottomless pit, first of all, the abyss is like, I don't want to say space, but it's further than that. It's not even in our dimension where the demons come from. When they come down on this earth, their job is to possess a human body, to do wickedness and evil, or to cause them to be violent, okay, as far as to do crazy stuff. Now, the Revelation chapter 9 verse 1 says that the agent or the star came from heaven on the earth. So now it's not talking about outer space or in the fourth dimension where the demons lurk at. This bottomless pit was right here on earth, according to Revelation chapter 9 verse 1. Not the abyss that the demons don't want to be in. They rather be on earth causing problems. So, like Christ said in Luke 8, cast him into the swine, since they didn't want to go into the abyss. Once they came out that man, he didn't care where they went. So now let's go to show you that the abyssos, which is a deep or pit, can also represent a subterranean climate, excuse me, I keep saying climate, of subterranean territory or region on this earth. It's not talking about the outer abyss. And let's prove that. Let's go to Genesis and the Torah, chapter 1, verse 2. Okay, this is Genesis chapter 1, verse 2. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. So before the earth was built in a solitude that you see it today with your naked eye, with your visible naked eye, it was basically out of form and void, like an unborn fetus. Like in the fetal stage of it, that's what the earth was. And all forms of matter, okay, before everything came together, okay, all the forms of anatomical matter was basically what the earth was, okay, the elements, all types of stuff. I'm kind of short on these scientific terms, but that's what it was, like some form of anatomical matter. It didn't come together yet to be built in the earth as you know it today. But although the earth was still there, it wasn't formed yet. Yet, although it wasn't formed, you still had on it the deep. So you got deep on the earth, or pit on the earth, which is synonymous with the word deep when it comes to place of landing. Pit, deep. Deep was there in book of Genesis chapter 1 when it came to the earth. Revelation 9 says the agent came from the heaven onto the earth. So, or the star rather. So now, let's go to Genesis chapter 7 verse 11. Genesis chapter 7 verse 11 says, and Noah went in, and his sons, and his wife, and his sons, wives with him into the ark because of the waters of the flood. When the Lord cast the flood onto the earth, of clean beasts and of beasts that are clean and of fowls. Okay, let's get to the point. Verse 11, here we go. In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the second month, the 17th day of the month, the same day were all the fountains of the great deep broken up. So now, even back then, during Noah's time, you had the deep, but this deep, okay, was inhabited by water. So basically, the deep held the water, and the water held the deep. So basically, what happened was, when the Lord decided to cause a flood to come on the earth, it wasn't just rain from the heaven. It was an actual, like a form of a tsunami, okay, that caused the damn ocean level or the sea level to rise above land. Land was being swallowed by rising oceans because something underneath the ocean and the very, very deep nether parts of it caused the fountains to be broken. Maybe an earthquake of some form that caused a tsunami of some sort that caused the ocean levels to rise. On top of that, you had like heavy rain coming from the sky. So the combination between the two caused the earth to be flooded and land to slowly but disappear. Okay? And men on that land drowning and dying. Okay, basically what occurred. But the fountains of the deep shows you that the earth has deep parts. Okay, deep, deep parts. Like bottomless deep parts. As well as what we're about to go into as land. Doesn't necessarily have to be referring to the space where the demons are located at. Okay? Now, let's get Proverbs chapter 8, verse 28. Now, in Proverbs chapter 8, verse 28, let's see here. It says right here, when he established the clouds above, meaning when he first started creating the world as you know it today, when he strengthened the fountains of the deep, which is what broke in Genesis 7. Okay? And when those fountains of the deep broke, that's the same deep that was spoken of in Genesis 1. Okay? That's like the deep parts of the elemental water, okay, that most men cannot go down to or see with their naked eye. That broke and caused it to rise. But the earth has deep parts too that are like bottomless. Okay? So that's why we read Revelation 9, which we're going to go back to right now. It says right here, and the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and to him was given the key of the bottomless pit. The bottomless pit is here on earth. It's not referring to out in the abyss. The bottomless pit is here on earth, and the earth does have deep or pit. Because the abyss, which is a Greek word, it means deep. Okay? Now, when you get to understanding, that same word could be used in Genesis, referred to on earth, because that's where the bottomless pit is located at, in this particular chapter and verse. On earth. Not out in space or the fourth dimension where the demons lay at. Like we read about in Luke 8, when they didn't want to be cast out into the deep. It's not the same deep as the earth in Genesis 1. Okay? Or Genesis 7, or we read about in Proverbs 8, when he created the fountains of the deep. That's two different deeps. One is referring to the fourth dimension, the other one is referring to the deep parts here on earth. Okay, in this particular verse that I spoke about, the deep parts of the earth here are the ones that hold water. Okay, that's what holds water. Now let's go to Revelation 17 and 8 though. Okay, now we get the understanding that the deep parts on this earth is referred to what? The places that hold water, right? But let's get an understanding. There's other parts of the deep as well. This is the bottomless pit definition of the understanding here in Revelation 9 and Revelation 20. Okay, let's go to Revelation 17, verse 8. Now, Revelation 17, verse 8. The beast that thou sawest was and is not, okay, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit and go into perdition. And they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names are not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was and is not and yet is. Now stop. It just said right here that the beast would come out of the bottomless pit. Now if we was to look in logical terms, is this referring to some form of a sea monster, which maybe some would consider to be beast, that's coming out of the bottomless pit? If we're to say, according to the breakdowns I just gave, that the pit is referring to the nether parts of the deep earth where water abide in, that the Lord broke, okay, to cause the land to be flooded during the time of Noah, that he created before the earth was formed together, that was there since the time of Genesis 1 in the beginning. Okay, is that referring to that? Because it says right here, but no. When you get to understanding, the beast that John was referring to wasn't talking about no sea monsters. It's not referring to no sea monsters in the waters. So now, well, who is that beast referring to? Guess what? Those beasts are referring to a nation of men. Let's prove that. Hold that, meaning hold Revelation 17. Let's get Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 18. These are similar to the same beasts that Peter saw in his vision in Acts the 10th chapter. Not saying they are the same beasts, but are similar in the sense that they're not actual beasts at all. Okay? But there's something else. Let's get Ecclesiastes chapter 8, verse 11. And it says right here, Ecclesiastes, let's see what I want here. 3:18, Salah. Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 18. I said in mine heart concerning the estate of the sons of men, that God might manifest them, and that they might see that they themselves are beasts. Just like Daniel saw visions of beasts in chapter 7 of his book and various others. Those beasts, although they were angels that took the form of a beast, but they were symbolic and parabolic, referring to nation of men. The beast that Daniel saw was referring to nations of men coming in power. The beast right here in Ecclesiastes 3 verse 18 is referring to the sons of men. The beast in Revelation chapter 17 verse 8 is referring to the sons of men. But which particular sons of men is referring to? Although this is another topic that I can do to show to prove, but it goes off the topic now. The beast is referring to the so-called white race. Back then they were known as a Roman Empire. Okay, the top hierarchy of the Roman Empire were predominantly Edomites from Idumea. Now you did have Idumea back then that was separate from their counterparts in Rome, that they was living their own life as a nation, which later on joined to Rome to help overthrow us. Some of them we did convert during the time of the Hasmonean dynasty. Some of the women we took, okay, amongst us and deal with them, and they followed Torah and created more babies. But you had a lot of these Edomites, such as Herod, who were converts but were still wicked, mainly the Edomite male seed. All right, but from the time of Job and from the time that we were in Egypt, Edomites was mixing in amongst Japheth. And during that time, the Roman Empire, which later formed from the Roman Republic, that particular son of Japheth that mixed in with Edom was Kittim. And the book of Joshua goes into that, but that's another topic. But the bottom line is that beast is referring to Esau, or the children of Edom, which are mainly the so-called white race or pinkish red toned skin today. Okay, or those whose fathers come from that descent. They are the Edomites today. Right now, that beast was, because the vision that John saw was referring to Esau here in America. Because we read Revelation 17, it goes into Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots, which is America. The seat of the beast mainly refers to the hierarchy here in America and the hierarchy over there in Europe, which is Illuministic families, which are predominantly Edomites. Okay? Now, John saw the vision of that. Alright? That's why I said was America. And it says in verse 8, and it's not. Why? Because America did not exist during the time of John. Okay? Who was in power during the time of John? The Roman Empire. Now, it says, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit. So I go to show you that the bottomless pit that's referred to in Revelation 9 and the bottomless pit that's referred to in Revelation 20 is the pit that's inhabited by man. And that main man is referring to the Edomite nation or the so-called white race. Okay, the bottom line is they are the ones that, according to the scripture, will ascend out of that bottomless pit. So the pit can't be underwater. It's not talking about sea monsters or beasts, sea beasts. It's referring to men who are known as beasts. So when you get the understanding, the bottomless pit in Revelation 9 is referring to the children of Edom, or men, not demons out there in the abyss. There are men that are inhabited or located or centered or live in the bottomless pit. And when John saw in Revelation 17, said the angel told John, this beast will ascend out of the pit. I mean, it will come out of that pit. Now we just got to find out who that, what that pit is, which is the understanding of Revelation chapter 9 verse 1 in this first part of this show. Other shows, Lord will, I'm going to do to break down the rest of the verses. Most High will, this is going to be a mega or somewhat of a mini mega part series, similar to Romans 11. This is extensive breakdowns, and every stone must be turned to get the full understanding of each particular verse. Alright, Revelation 9 is one of the deepest chapters of breakdown in the whole entire book of Revelation. Through the Holy Spirit and the Most High, okay, I can do that for brothers. You understand? So now, with the scriptures and the precepts to back it up for the gainsayers out there. Now, we read Revelation 17, it says, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit and go into perdition, which means destruction. But the bottom line is this, because Esau is the only nation on this earth that's condemned in the Bible. Okay, the other nations or the Gentiles will receive a second chance in the kingdom after 1,000 years of hardcore servitude, all right, and building up our temple and humility that must be put on them, all right. But Esau will be destroyed when that 1,000 years is gone. You know what I'm saying? That's set up in the book of Obadiah and other various books. Esau is condemned. That's why it says this beast is going into perdition. He's finished. He's going to be destroyed. Perdition represents destruction, all right. But before that destruction, he would be the Roman Empire during the time of John. He will later on become America, which did not exist yet. Okay? He's going to go in destruction. He shall ascend out of this bottomless pit to form this beast, of which the understanding represents Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots, which represents America in general. So now, let's go back to Revelation 9. So now we read Revelation chapter 9, it says, and the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and to him was given the key of the bottomless pit. So now we understand that the bottomless pit is referring to a region, a deep subterranean region or landmass on this earth that is inhabited by men, which are the beasts. And guess what? That's the so-called white race of men, or the Edomite nation, and the women that are joined unto them. And it's not referring to the abyss of the outer layer where the demons dwell at, out in the fourth dimension. It's not referring to demons at all. And it's not referring to the sea monsters in the waters, which can also be known as the deep, like we read in Genesis and in Proverbs, because man can't live on the water unless he got form of an oxygen tank or something. We were made and created to dwell in a habitat on land. So this bottomless pit, the beast would ascend out of. So for him to ascend out of it means he come from it. He had to be living in there. That was where he started from. So now, the bottomless pit is on earth. That's why when we read Revelation 9, it says, and the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth. So this agent that's coming down from the heaven, from the angel's will, or the celestial body, what his job to do is, like the one in Revelation 8, I believe, their job was to turn the water into wormwood. Okay, his particular job is similar to in Revelation 20. He's dealing with the nation of Edom. Okay, and in Revelation 8, that agent or that star turned the water bitter. This particular star or agent, his job is to deal with Edom. And it says that he had a key of the bottomless pit. When you take a key, what are you doing? You're either locking something or unlocking it. So we read Revelation 17, it says that this beast will ascend out of the bottomless pit. Ascend means to come out of. How's he coming out of? Because this agent, earlier verses, went down and took the key, unlocked the bottomless pit, so the beast could ascend out of it. Now we have to understand why. Well, what is this bottomless pit then that the so-called white race or the children of Edom come out of? The agent caused the key to unlock. Now it's not literally talking about them being in jail and the agent came down and unlocked the key and then, no. It's referring to a manifold of events that took place to cause them to resurge into power. After the fall of the Roman Empire, they kind of disappeared for a while as far as rulers and sovereignty. That's why the Dark Ages, Middle Ages history is important, to show you that the Dark Nations ruled the Middle Ages. The Byzantine Empire shows you that they were predominantly dark-skinned, brown-skinned men ruling on this earth, and the white man lied and had them all Caucasians looking like him. For example, like Edward the Dark Prince, okay, Richard the Lionheart, okay, Charlemagne, okay. We got images to show that these men were black or dark-skinned, brown-skinned men. But the white man, you go to his average library, he'll show himself because he's a liar. Just like you portray Christ as a white man, when you know the Bible tells you and history shows you that Christ was a brown-skinned, dark-skinned man. He lied on history. Moses passported Egyptian, which are Africans, yet this man got Christian Bale playing Moses in the movie Exodus. White supremacy. So this man has lied on history to show himself to be these supreme beings in history, to promote his nation as a sovereign power nation. So all that time that these brown-skinned men were ruling, this man was locked up, meaning he not saying that he wasn't around, but he was shut down from his power that he once had when he was a Roman Empire that controlled 25 to 30% of the earth, of the known earth. Roman Empire controlled about 50% of the known earth at that time. It was a vast empire. Okay? Vast empire. You understand? That controlled about 30 to 50% of the earth. This man fell from grace when that was shut down. So it's like he was put in jail. That's why the agent came out, took the key, unlocked him. And like John said in Revelation 17, he ascended out of that pit. Now what is that pit? Now we know that that pit is subterranean because it's bottomless. That's symbolic, representing the deep. And it's a pit. Now what is that pit referring to that these so-called white people came out of and ascended out of? Basically coming back into rulership like Revelation 17 to later on establish what is America today. Okay, which was Rome at the time that John saw that vision. That Revelation 9, the angel is speaking about dealing with. Let's go to Ezekiel 26 and 20 furthermore, proof that. Okay. To prove the pit aspect of it is referring to the earth. Not just so much as underneath where the waters are at. Man could be part of that pit too. Ezekiel chapter 26 verse 20. And it says, when I shall bring thee down with them that descend into the pit, with the people of old time. We'll just show you that people dwelling in the pit. Now the pit here is referring to the grave or lowly estate. This is ancient civilizations that the Lord bragged and boasted how he destroyed. And just because, and I believe the prince of Tyrus was the main one that the Lord was prophesying against with Ezekiel in this particular verse and chapter. But it could go for any nation really that think they're above the Most High. Most High set you up, Most High take you down. Right now, it could go into Esau. We could read the scripture to condemn Esau, the so-called white race here in America. And it says right here, because they're going to be destroyed just like their forefathers of old time in ancient Roman Empire that thought they was untouchable. The stages and pieces of the chessboard are being set for World War III right now as we speak. You got Russian spy ships right there in Kings Bay in Georgia right now overlooking the naval base over there. Then you have China over there in Alaska, okay, over there in the Bering Sea looking at America, sizing them up. So when you get the understanding, there's about to be a world war set up, which is going to go into Ezekiel 38. That's another topic that I've been meaning and dying to do. Most High Way, I got to get those notes together though. But at the same time, this is all centered around the destruction of Edom, or the destruction of that beast in Revelation. Okay, no, the beast is mainly the hierarchy of the male seed of Edom. That this is all about men. The hell with the women. The women don't mean anything. They either join unto the men of the Lord, or they join unto the nation of their men and die. Okay, that's it. We could use them as incubators and bring forth our seed, as long as they stay in order, and we're going to put them in order, like we did with like our forefathers did, when we snatched the women of other nations in the time of war. We're going to put them in order. They choose to remain out of order, and they want to be joined to Esau, their men, and I'm referring to the white woman there. They want to be put to death right along with them. That's it. So that's the beast, and those that are joined unto them. I can refer to the other nations and Gentiles as well, and even some of our people, and the nigger woman. They're going to die right along with them. Like it tells in Isaiah 13, those that are joined unto them shall fall by the sword. How will you know that they're joined unto them? Because they got the mark of the beast. Mark is their identity. They're going to display themselves to be identical to the beast on some form of way spiritually. So let you know that, yeah, we down and we going to die right along with him. So they're the beasts, okay, when you get to understand it. And the Most High said, I'm going to destroy you right along with these other nations of old time. You're not any different. And it says, and shall set thee in the low parts of the earth, which is referring to the grave, burial sites and plots. Most High going to basically destroy them and put them on a low level after he's finished. Just like the Babylonians kind of like disappeared from history after he finished with them. Okay? In places desolate of old, with them that go down to the pit, which is the grave, that thou be not inhabited, and I shall set glory in the land of the living. Okay? And that glory in the land of the living is mainly going to be in the nation of Israel. Okay? Which are the so-called blacks and Hispanics and Native and Seminole Indians, those as fathers of Indian Negro descent, and the ones that are scattered throughout the four corners of the earth that Christ will bring forth into this knowledge, and who Christ would deliver, like we read in Matthew 24, okay, when he make the second coming, that we don't really know who they are, but they are the elect as well, wherever they're located at. But at the same time, the Most High tells you that the pit could be on the earth, and it says that people of old time were put there, meaning they were buried there. So if you dig into the earth, you form a pit of burial. You dig deep into the earth, 6 feet for one person. How deep do you dig into the earth for a nation of people? Because the Most High was speaking about destroying the civilization of that nation of people. So if you dig 6 feet for one person, how deep are you going to dig for a whole nation? You see how it's called bottomless now? Real deep. You understand that? So that's Esau ascending out of that bottomless pit. The pit, bottom line to my understanding of this, what I'm trying to give you, is referring to a land region. Not talking about out there in space with the abyss, with the spiritual demons. Not talking about out there in the fountains of the deep where the beasts of the waters are located at. Is referring to the nation of men. And one particular nation of men that the beast was during the time of John was the Roman Empire, which was who? The so-called white race. They're that beast. And the vision that John saw, Babylon, the great mother of harlots, that ascended out of the bottomless pit, they will later incorporate themselves to become Babylon, the great mother of harlots, which is America. The understanding of that. You understand? So now, let's go to 2nd Ezra in the Apocrypha. Chapter 5, verse 23. Okay, this is 2nd Ezra, chapter 5, verse 23 in Apocrypha. And said, O Lord that bearest rule of every wood of the earth and of all the trees thereof, thou hast chosen thee one only vine, which I believe is a grapevine. Although watermelons come on vine too, I believe the grapevine is the Lord's favorite vine, okay, if I'm not mistaken. Now verse 24, which is a point, and of all lands of the whole world, thou hast chosen thee one pit. So I'm going to show you the pit is a land. It's not referring to out there in the abyss where the demons are at. It's not referring to the deep of the waters where the sea monsters are at, or whatever's down there that man cannot inhabit it because we were not created to live in water. It's talking about right here on earth. Revelation 9 tells you that the star fell from the heaven unto the earth and had the key of the bottomless pit. The key which unlocks and locks. That's how in Revelation 20 it speaks of the great chain. It added unto that with the great chain. But the unlocking and locking of the key is referring to allowing something or shutting something down. It's symbolic. Now, it says, and of all the flowers are of one lily. Now, the chosen pit is the nation, is the land of Israel, and basically that whole Mesopotamian region, the Garden of Eden. But when you get the full understanding, the Most High tells you that he had that chosen pit. All the other lands on the earth are pits. That chosen region is his favorite pit. But in Revelation 9, it's speaking of a bottomless pit, which is a subterranean region. Meaning that this pit or land goes way beneath the earth. But not so deep where man can't live at, but deep enough that's referred to as bottomless. But a nation of people, the so-called white race, come out that region. So now, if you put 2 and 2 together, what would you get? What would you get? You would get, what subterranean region on this earth does these so-called white people come from? Or have recently came out of? Because really, when they call themselves Caucasians, they don't really come from that region. You come from Mount Seir. But when you were locked up and then unlocked by the agent or that star, okay, that had that chain, when you resurface and ascended out of that pit, that's when you start to become more supreme and reign on this earth. during the Renaissance period. So now, what was that region? What do y'all call yourselves? For the most part, y'all call yourselves Caucasians. But when you get the firm understanding, it's not just literally the Caucasus Mountains. No, it goes deeper than that. It's the caves of Europe. Okay, because the caves of Europe is the most subterranean, one of the most subterranean land regions on this earth that a nation of people ascended out of. Okay, like, look this up. I wrote this down. The Krubera Cave, K-R-U-B-E-R-A-K, cave, K-R-U-B-E-R-A, the Krubera Cave, or Varonya, V-E-R-O-N-Y-A, Varonya. Those caves can go down to like close to 100 miles below sea level, underneath the earth. Yet, at one time, that's where you so-called white people were centering yourself and located at, after the fall of the Roman Empire. But the bottom line is, when it said ascend out of the bottomless pit, is referring to your nation of people, the so-called white race, coming into power, coming from that lower state, like we read in Ezekiel, when the Most High, when he conquers a nation and he puts them in a lower state, like he did with the Moabites and the Ammonites, like he did with the Babylonians, like he did with the Assyrians, all these nations which were proud and mighty, like the Egyptians, all these nations that were proud and mighty at one point, that the Lord just destroyed, and afterwards, after the perdition, they were on such a low level. That's how you guys, the so-called white race, were. The children of Edom was on a low level after the Roman Empire fell and collapsed. But the Lord told John, he's going to ascend out of that pit. He's going to ascend out of those caves of Europe. And like in Revelation 20, it tells you that he should rule but a short time. If I'm not mistaken. But, does it say that in Revelation 20? Because I don't want to misquote it. Because Revelation 20, with the bottomless pit and the key go hand in glove with the star. Okay, bound him 1,000 years. And then after this, he must be loose a little season. Right. In other words, when he came, this is the little season time period that you are let loose. Okay. You can be let loose with the key. That statute of limitations would represent that chain. Now in Revelation 9, I'm going to go over this first and I'm going to close it out for this opening mega series segment. And the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth. So now we understand that star is referring to a celestial agent. Okay, basically. Like the celestial agent name in Revelation 8 was called Wormwood. And they're saying in this particular one, it's just a particular star. It's an actual celestial agent or body doing the will of the angel commanded by the Heavenly Father. Now it says unto the earth. So now it represents that something's going down here on earth at this time. In Revelation 8, what went down on the earth was the poison and pollution of the waters, which mainly happened after the nuclear fallout. Now, and to him was given the key of the bottomless pit. The key represents to allow or to shut down, just like with the chain. And the bottomless pit is not referring to the region, okay, where the demons are at, but in Revelation 17, the bottomless pit, as we spoke of again, the beast will come out of it. And the beast is referring to the sons of men. And the sons of men that John was speaking of or spoken of to, those particular sons of men, that beast was referring to the so-called white race, the children of Edom, that will come out of the bottomless pit. Now the bottomless pit, the pit is a land region. Okay, the bottomless pit is a land region on this earth. You understand? And it's bottomless in the sense that it's subterranean. It's very deep. Now, what is the deepest part of this earth? So deep, but yet, okay, we know the history that the so-called white race or the children of Edom come out of there. Okay, and the only answer would be that not the Caucasus Mountains, but the caves of Europe. Okay, because caves go underneath the earth. Mountains are up high. We're talking about the bottomless pit, the caves of Europe. Okay, and you check out the Krubera Cave and the Varonya caves, or Varonya rather. Okay, the Krubera Cave. You will see that it is one of the most top 5, if not the deepest part of that land region. Over there with that pit, Israel, the bottomless pit closest to that land region, is the deepest part. One of the deepest part. Okay, and that's the only pit that inhabited, okay, the beast, okay, the children of Edom to ascend out of. So I'm going to go into verse 2 at another topic, okay, which will be part 2. But with that, I say shalom, which means peace. But like I like to say, Isaiah chapter 40 verse 22, there is no peace save God unto the wicked. Shalom.